Welcome to Richard Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of Airfix's North American B-25C-D Mitchell. Scale is 1/72. So in part 1, I introduced the kit and showed you what was in the box. In this part, I'm going to be starting the build and I'm going to begin with the cockpit. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To begin with, I'm starting off with the control panel, and as you can see, I've already painted the background colours to that, and I've used Revol Aquacolor 08 matte black for the top part, and the overall colour is Humbrol 226 interior green. The interior green is going to be the main colour for the cockpit, and I've used a micro set to place on the decals. That's the decal solution I'm using, and there's only a lot of decals to put on, and since you've seen me do this many times, it's just a little quick show through to tell you what I'm doing with the model to begin with. And while that's drying, I'm just painting up all the little parts to the cockpit, so the steam columns, the chairs, the fixtures and fittings, really. Moving on to the pilots, it's a Humbrol 26 khaki for the main body, 61 flesh for the face and hands, then 62 leather for the helmet and webbing, and 78 cockpit green for the main body, and light olive 86 for the boots. And that's all Humbrol. Now I said I wouldn't put the pilots in the intro, but I decided to do it in the end. I've also decided to have the wheels down instead of up as well, just to well, I just changed my mind as I was priming it. So it's onto the cockpit proper, as you can see here, and I'm just putting in the base colours. And as I said before, that's 226 interior green by Humbrol. Now everything's dry, it's time for the assemble. So first of all, the chairs go in. They have their own little location point to sit in. One's slightly forward than the other one, so just make sure that you're getting them placed in the right order. Next to go in is the control sticks. Now in the instructions I put these in first, but I've decided to do it the other way around. Put the seats in first, the control sticks, then the control panel, instrument panel even. And the reason why I've done this is it's just made it easier to place everything in than what the instructions were saying. Next to go in is the pilots, not the control instrument panel. I do apologise. The pilots just sit inside the bucket seats. There's not a lot of room for these to go in. It's quite squeezed. So if you are putting them in, you're just going to have to persevere with them. They do fit, but it is a very tight squeeze to get them in. And now the instrument panel, which sits just right in front of the pilot and co-pilot. And then comes the first bulkhead placing in. That goes directly in the front part of the cockpit. On the opposite end, we have the second bulkhead. Now, the bottom part, as you can see, comes out to form the lower half of the cockpit. So it's crucial that you get these straight on, because if you don't, there's a part of the fuselage that I'm placing on now will not fit properly, and it will just cause problems down the line as you're building the kit. Onto the braces for the wings. Now the middle section also makes up the bomb compartment for this. So the middle part, you have the actual sidewall of the base. Depending whether you're going to be showing this or not, in the end I decided to show it with the bombs in place. Again, I know I said I wouldn't do the bombs, but I decided to do so. So make sure that you get this all lined up properly. Again, if you don't, it will cause problems when you're trying to close everything up at the end. So as you can see there, I was just tidying up some paintwork and everything before I move on to the next step, which is placing in some more seats for the front part of the cockpit, or the nose of the plane. Then once that was dry, I was able to fit these braces. So the bulkhead goes onto the central part of the cockpit capsule, as you can see there. Now it is a strange shape, so just dry fit it to make sure everything lines up before you jump into it. Again, as I said, because it's easy to misalign these units. As you can see, I've already painted in the base colours, and I'm just using some River Colour 90 Silver to lightly go over the raised areas to give that metallic look. And this part is the sidewalls to the bomb base section. Now, interestingly enough, this section also has already molded in the actual doors for it, just where my thumbs are. So you don't have to worry about placing them all on later date and for them coming off through handling and what have you. So as you can see that they're just fitting in, and it just makes everything so much easier with this bays opened, well, pre-molded onto the side panel like this. Of course, if you're having it closed up, you would use a completely different part, and you wouldn't be going through all the paintwork for the interior, which I just did. So to fit the cockpit to the fuselage, it's fairly simple. I'm just placing through the wing braces through its designated location, and that just squeezes on. If you built the cockpit properly, you won't have any lining issues. It should just sit square in. And the back part goes in now. Unlike other aircraft have done, these location areas for these braces went in really smoothly. I didn't have to force them in. They just went straight in. Then just needed a little bit of cement to hold it in position. You can argue you don't actually need the cement, but it's better to be on the safe side. So now I'm going on to the bombs, as you can see here. And I've painted them in the base colour of Humbrol's 155 olive drab. And the yellow I'm using here is 24 trainer yellow, obviously by Humbrol. Now, initially just painting it a block colour of yellow, and I'm going over the area that I'm going outside the area, I should say, of what I need to paint. And then the idea is, once that's dry, I'll assemble them on the sprue. This just makes it easier for handling. Now, I'm not worried if I smudge the paintwork or anything, because this is only a rough paint before the finishing up. I'll then take a thin line of masking tape and then wrap it around the yellow, and then I shall overpaint that yellow with the background colour. And once it's dry, I'll just simply take off the masking tape. Then I have my yellow stripe. Now, generally they give you a decal for this, but they didn't give you a decal for this, so I'm painting it in. And then to finish the assembly of the bombs, it's just the back part, the fin part that gets placed on. And there's a couple, well, there's one decal to be placed on the bombs if you wish for them to go on. You can't really see them once they're in place, but sometimes it's good to place them on anyway. So it's back to the main fuselage and assembly, and the next part I'm placing in is the top of the bomb compartment. As you can see there, it's a nice tight fit. And then the next component going in, this is one of the housing, well, the housing to anchor the gun turrets. Try and get this lined up as best you can. I found it a little bit tricky to get it lined up. In fact, mine slipped off slightly when I was closing up the fuselage. So just bear that in mind. It may move, but I don't know whether I did anything wrong, but I just found it quite difficult to get this into alignment. So it's back to the bombs. As you can see, the decals are dried, and now I can place them inside the compartment. There's 4 in total, and it depends on the user if you want to put a few in or all of them in. They each sit in a little bracket that runs up and down the inside of the compartment. I should point out, if it's not clear, 2 go on one side of the inner fuselage and the other 2 go on the opposite side before you close it up. So then it's time to put on the brackets to hold the bomb bay doors open. And again, like the doors, this is all one unit, and it just simply gets pushed in onto the bulkhead. Now that's everything in, it's time to close up the fuselage, and I start off with lining up the wing supports through the location holes, and then just gently squeeze it in each piece of part of the fuselage together. And just be aware of your contact points here where you're going to be putting cement before you close it up. Like always, I'll start at one end and finish up the other. Close up one end and just gently work my way down. With this one, it wasn't so bad with having to wait till it's completely dry, then move on to the next section. But it does need clamping up quite a bit because there's so much in this cockpit and it can be quite difficult to line everything up. And this is where I'll leave part 2. It's a nice little place to stop it all getting buttoned up. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. And if you subscribe to the channel, why don't you hit that little notification bell? That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit that like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.